Hello, I'm Annie Sloan.
And I'm Tristan Merriam.
And this is The Colourist,
a podcast about colour and its influence on our lives. Today we are talking about Wedgewood. Why? It's a good first question.
I'm sure most people know, especially of an older generation, but I think you know about it as well.
Absolutely.
And it's those Wedgewood colours. And we've all seen Wedgewood at some time or another, often in junk shops.
Yes.
Or maybe at some great aunt's house.
Yeah.
It's really out of fashion now. But maybe it's time to bring it back because I think the colours are amazing. The groups of colours and the history and where it all comes from is so special.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today, which is very exciting. And it has reignited, well, I never really had it to begin with, a passion for Wedgewood. But I've always known about it, as you say, and I think it's a household name and people recognise it. It's recognisable. Yeah. But doing this research has made me find a sort of new love for Wedgewood. And I was at a car boot sale a few weeks ago, and I ummed and ahed over buying two Wedgewood egg cups for whatever, 50p each. And I was going, and then I went away, came back to buy them, and obviously they'd gone. But I wish I had now. Yeah. So it's inspired me to go and find some. So we're going back to the neoclassical period. Is that correct?
Neoclassical, 18th century.
Yeah, and explain for people listening what neoclassical means.
It's to do with going back to probably Greece, ancient Rome, and Egypt as well. So I'll tell, that's a whole story.
A whole thing. But just for context, that's what neoclassical
that's what
means.
Neoclassical is, Okay. And it came to real prominence in the 18th century because it was the age of reason.
Yes.
And they were throwing away sort of the whole religious thing and they were not looking at all of that and bringing back the sort of symmetry and the imagery of Greek and Roman and Egyptian.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Very.
And he was very influenced. And anyway, you ask what you want to say.
So I think a good place to start is who he was. So his name was Josiah Wedgewood. Yeah. He was born in 1730. He died in 1795.
Yeah.
He was an innovative English potter. And most importantly, I think, and you're going to tell us more, but a brilliant entrepreneur. And he really sort of pushed industry and did many, many things. So I think let's start with him, who he was. And you should
say where it was
yes.
as well.
Yeah. So we're in the UK, we're in England.
But also in what we call the potteries. It's in the central part of England. Stoke-on-Trent is the main city. And even today, you go there and the place... Have you ever been?
Absolutely. It's a very industrial place, is what I'd say.
And it's full of really, really beautiful chimneys.
Hey, that's a place to visit, Stoke-on-Trent.
They are really beautiful because they're big, tall, brick built and they're sort of like giant kilns.
Are we talking chimneys on houses, chimneys on factories?
No, just a chimney that starts on the ground and goes up. And it's a kiln, basically.
I see what you're saying.
So they are actually really beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's still loads of them there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
There we go. You're putting Stoke-on-Trent on the map today. But let's go, let's talk...
It's been there before me.
Let's talk about him, where he was, how he started and how his journey began.
Yeah. So he was already a successful man and he did lots of things like he would had an idea and he would send it to the royal family or he would, he was very in touch with how to get his name about. And he came up with this idea of making these special colours. And
it all comes back to colour.
It all comes back to colour.
This is the Colourist,
true.
but it does.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm doing it. And it's so beautiful.
They are.
I mean, I think for my taste, what I've always thought, they're a bit tweety pie. But now looking like you say, and I keep thinking they've got to come back. I think Wedgewood should do them again.
Yes.
But slightly, I mean, I think the neoclassical thing is good, but just stop there's too many cherubs We're not a cherubby lot.
Yeah, and I think it's not the colours that are sort of a bit twee for me. It's the combination of the colours with the imagery on top of them and this sort of warm, creamy white that's always on them.
Yeah.
And I think it's that, for me, that makes them a little bit... I don't think I'd want one in my house. But the colours themselves, let's talk about them, because they are an amazing mix of colours.
Well,
and we've got this amazing image here.
Well, yes, with all his little tryouts. So
yeah.
what he did, and I think that also shows you what an incredible man he was. He didn't just go, oh, we'll do a blue one, a red one, and a green one, or whatever. He would just keep on making them, they're like little chips, aren't they? And he would keep adjusting the colour till he went, yeah, that's the colour.
It's almost like a sketchbook, but with ceramics.
Yes, and so he's marked and put a name and
I
a
love
cut
that.
and not a name but a number and some letters, and so he knew which ones.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's brilliant.
I love this image,
Yeah.
and wouldn't that make an amazing installation in your home?
Really beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, really lovely.
So what
and
are the
blues.
colours? What were his main? Were there sort of 6 or 7 or 8 colours?
There are quite a few.
I think the most popular one people would be familiar with is the pale blue.
It's the blue, and I think that may be also why it's... I wished it wasn't that blue, because that blue, I think people... It's a little bit sweet. And the other colours are
Oh, it would
nicer.
look lovely in a baby boy's nursery. That's what it's that sort of colour, isn't it?
Oh, it's a bit boy, but I think it's also with... It's just a bit... Well, that's whole Regency thing that people... I
yes.
can remember in the 50s, the Regency thing... was very popular, and it's all gone a bit sweet. So yes, there's this rather pretty blue with the white, like you say, it's a bit sweet, but the imagery is gorgeous.
It is.
And
And what a brand to create, because actually it's instantly recognisable as Wedgewood, which
Yes.
is genius in itself.
Absolute genius. This one I love. It's this deep, deep blue. It's really beautiful.
Packs a bit more of a punch.
Yeah. Now, when I think they're really real and good, what you've got is that little figure in the middle of those. It's like a soft, veiled look. It's not a strong... It's not just blue and white.
No, it's not all the same tone of
There are
white.
other colours.
The white is softer.
Yeah, and maybe that's the problem with the paler colours, that there isn't. It's just blue and white.
Two-tone.
Yeah.
And you're right. This particular, I'd say it's a Napoleonic Frida sort of blue. It's a vivid, bright blue.
Yeah.
But the white, as you say, it's almost sort of washed.
Yeah,
in certain
in
places,
some areas it's really soft.
which gives it a bit more
Just
depth.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
lovely. So we've got the pale blue. We've just spoken about this
The
deep
darker
blue, which I
blue.
actually haven't ever really seen with Wedgwood. That's not one of the colours that springs to mind for me.
No, because I think we only see the stuff that was really mass produced and hugely, and you would get in all the sort of department stores and stuff.
Yeah.
And the other one you see a bit is the pale green, which I don't know. It's maybe a bit flat. I don't know. Pale green. I don't know.
And we've got black.
A black, which is gorgeous.
Strong.
Yeah, and I think that would be one that I would have. I really
Yes,
like that.
that would work in here.
And also it depends on the piece. So there's a sort of urns and there's plates and the urn is beautiful. There are some jugs and things. I think that's really
Well,
nice.
the urn's lovely, actually, because it's not just 2 colours. That's broken the rule a little bit. It looks like to me like there's a little bit of pink in there. Are we looking? Oh, we're not looking at the same one. Sorry, I'm on a white urn with green and pink.
Yes,
but yes,
so
the black urn. Yeah,
the black one. I think those are beautiful. I've
Very
seen quite
beautiful.
a few of those, and also there is a sort of slight greyness to it where it goes a bit. And then there's the white one, and there was mainly ones which were just white. Just white.
Oh, that doesn't float my boat.
The only thing I can imagine is that white might have been very beautiful because it wouldn't be shiny. I think it has that's an aspect of them.
Absolutely.
That they were quite matte. So I think this might be quite beautiful.
In real life, it might.
In real life, I've never seen one. And this other one, I've never seen anything like this. It's white, but it's got green figuring.
Yes.
Pink.
Yeah, that's the one I was just looking at. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a few other shades that you don't see very commonly. There's a sort of a very
Beautiful pink.
beautiful pink, a very dusky pink, isn't
Yes.
it?
Well, it's a sort of Jaipur pink.
Yeah, a kind of a rodmel, but a bit paler,
Yes.
I'd say.
Well, yes. I mean, I actually love that. I think that's
It's
beautiful.
a really lovely colour.
And again, you can see its matteness. Mm-hmm. And some of the imagery is just beautiful. The classical figures done, but also the sort of leafy things on the lid. I love it. I just want to go back to that white one, because look at those images. There's a crab. I mean, it's quite weird. And a lion. I mean, that's sort of unusual and
Oh, you're
odd.
up there. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got a bit of everything going on.
I would just like to bring some of that aspect out to them, rather than too many of the, little cherubs with garlands, which is very sweet. But I think, we want something probably a little bit more edgy.
I
don't know.
completely
Yeah.
see that being a thing.
And
Make the phone call. Come on. You've got to do it. Take a leaf out of his book. If he
Yes.
sent things to the royal family,
will tell
which I
them.
love, yeah, you got to do it. It could definitely be revived, I think. For
And
this.
look at this gorgeous one here, a very deep red.
Very
I
beautiful.
love that. I think it's beautiful.
The jug, little sort of gravy jug. I don't think
Yes.
you'd probably use it for your gravy, but
Well, possibly people
weirder
did.
things have happened. But
Yeah.
how would you describe then? For some people might be listening and not actually watching this podcast on YouTube without the imagery. How would you describe the style of Wedgwood? I mean, we've explained the colours. We've explained that there's this white imagery on top of.
Yes.
Give a little bit more to explain the style.
Well, you mean that the white imagery that is stuck is like it's been stuck on. So I imagine they made them and then stuck them on. So they're little raised figures, raised flowers, raised whatever.
I've just had a massive flashback to my wedding.
Oh,
My mum made our wedding cake.
oh,
And it just suddenly in my head popped in we had all these little moulds for cherubs and flowers and roses, and they were stuck on with icing,
well,
obviously. And it just suddenly reminded me of
there
that.
is a
Because they got the
huge-
3D
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Well, I
Anyway.
would say that they do have a sort of feeling of wedding cake.
Yes,
And,
I know.
That's not my.
We're not
sort
trying
of
to
thing.
do an injustice, but yeah.
So I've got this lovely pale yellow one. These are quite
Yeah, got that.
rare, and this is an egg cup. So maybe this is what you missed.
Yeah. No, mine were black, but yeah, I
Oh.
know, and I wish.
I would have bought a black pair.
I
That would be
know.
lovely.
Anyway.
Never mind.
There'll be more. So
Yeah.
the style is quite. What's the word for it? When you've got an image that's almost superimposed, stuck on. It's not blended in.
Raised.
It's very graphic.
It's
would you say?
raised figures.
Okay.
I mean, people do it now with sort of mouldings that they stick on.
Yeah.
There's a whole history of all of that. Yeah.
And you don't have any in your home.
I absolutely don't have
No.
any. And I do have, over the years, been thinking, I'll get some, but I've never done it.
I'll get you some at the car boot. I'll
Can
buy
I
you
get
an egg cup next time.
I'd be
That's
very
my mission now.
delighted. I
So-
would love the odd colours.
Yes.
Not the blue.
No. If anyone's listening and wants to send Annie some Wedgwood,
Yes, you can send
don't
me
send
black.
blue.
Black, Jaipur pink.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your inspiration for this and Wedgwood generally was predominantly about the colours and
Yes.
his use of that. But I think the answer to my question is more about him as a person and what he did and his story.
I love all of it, actually, and I think his colours are really important. And actually, I wanted to say is that I think when I see it, I'm seeing stuff which has been reproduced in recent years. And I think the really good stuff was the earlier stuff, where perhaps they took longer to do. Because I have been to museums and seen it and in real life and thought, and that's when I thought, this is really good. So I think maybe, I don't know, Wedgwood are probably going to kill me for this, but I think maybe they would become a little less beautiful and a little bit more quickly made. And I think I may be totally wrong. And maybe the things I see are the knockoffs.
Absolutely.
knows?
Well, that's a big thing, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And Yeah, we are used to seeing them in charity shops
Yeah.
and car boot sales
Yeah.
and flea markets, and actually,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got to
So
know.
I wanted to talk. I mean, I think he's a really fascinating fellow, but I want to also talk about where this came from. Why did he come up with these ideas?
Yes,
Where
absolutely.
did it come from? So, I mean, do talk about. I know you're dying to talk about who he was and where his idea and what his connection to the
Yeah,
slave trade was.
absolutely, yeah, because I think it sort of contradicts the look of Wedgwood, I think, that you've got this very pretty, soft Aunt Jane vibe going on.
Yeah.
But actually, what he did behind the scenes, well, not even behind the scenes, what he did as a person alongside his business was quite gritty and inspirational,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial.
Wedgwood was very anti-slavery and part of the abolitionist movement.
Okay.
And I think that's really major. And he was involved with people like Wilberforce, who actually took it through Parliament. And he was writing to people who were in Bristol, one of the black former slaves. And he was writing to him. He also was a whole really good thinker about the rights of man, and a man of his age. And he, I think, had very good housing for his people. They were the potters, and that was unheard of, I think, at that time. Or it was beginning. It was the whole thing that the people who worked for you, you looked after them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and
but
later on,
sadly, quite rare at the time.
at the time, and so and later on as well. But it took a long time for it. I know Cadbury's and some other people were enlightened and looked after their workers really well.
Really, because of what he.
Well, I'm not
put
sure
out
whether
there?
he did. I don't know who started it, but he was one of them that really did well.
And I assume then a very well respected and well loved gentleman who,
I'm absolutely certain
he
of
had
it.
he was a decent guy.
Yeah,
is what
good
we're
bloke.
saying. And talk a little bit about the work he produced to support the abolition.
Yeah, so what he did, he produced this amazing medallion, which was sent out. I mean, it would be a bit like a sort of, I don't know, it's something like Instagram. You could send out things to people. And he made this amazing little medallion called A Man and, oh, no. what is
Am
it?
I not a man
yeah.
and a brother?
Exactly.
Yes.
Am I
Got
not
it
a
in front of
man and a brother? And it's an image of a black slave, and he's in chains. And I've got a picture of one which is white with a black figure on it.
That's the one I'm looking at. Well,
And
I've got
there's
all of them, yeah.
And there's another one which is a blue background with a white figure on
And the
it.
posture is kneeling down, chains coming from his wrists, and sort of pleading, I
Well,
suppose.
he's bleeding and looking up. I mean, it's really
Very powerful.
very, very good indeed. Yeah, it's incredible and beautifully made as well.
It looks.
with the raised
How
thing
big would
again.
that have been? The white with the gold.
Yeah.
How big was that? Do you
I
think?
don't know, but it would
Looks very small.
I don't think it would have been very big at all.
And-
a medallion.
Obviously a very similar style to Wedgwood
Yeah.
and the other stuff, the
Yeah.
usual stuff,
Yeah.
but something that has much more impact. It's
Yeah.
much more gritty,
Yeah.
and it's powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas the other stuff is beautiful,
Yeah.
but it's not. I don't think
Not at all,
thought provoking.
no.
This is like whoa.
So where did he get his ideas from? Why did he produce all these rather more classical, pretty things? And of course, it all came from complete opposite to what he was doing. It all comes from the Grand Tour, which is the 18th century. The
I
Grand Tour.
love this. I love this. Explain. Well, I loved what you said in your notes about it was. I'm just scrolling back through. It was a bit like the gap year at
Yes,
the time for
it
artists,
was.
and I thought that's
Not artists.
not
no,
artists.
No. They're rich young men.
Yeah, rich men.
So
Yes, that's it.
aristocratic young men who came from beautiful big houses, and their parents would send them off. They probably didn't go to university. Some of them might have done, but they were going off around to be educated, and they would sometimes stay away for 5 years. I mean,
5 year gap year.
yeah.
And what sort
but
of
that was like
places?
their university in a way.
Yeah. Well, it's hands-on.
Yes.
And where did they go? What sort of things were
They
they?
would have gone to Italy, mainly was the main place. They would also go to Greece, and they would also, some of them went to Egypt as well. Mm-hmm. So they would spend a long time away. And one of the people that spent a long time away, well, two architects who, Robert Adam,
Yes.
Scottish architect, who I love his work, and the other one is the English architect, James Wyatt. And they came back after having had these amazing tours, looking at all the old ruins and, coming back with, I'm sure they had a great time. And they would come back and started building houses that were reminiscent of what they... And of course, they would have also brought back bits of statuary.
Yes.
I just picked this bit up in Rome.
Yeah,
It's a bit of the Parthenon.
Pop it in the lounge. So how were they linked explicitly to Wedgwood? Was it just the same sort of time? Were they in the same sort of circles?
It's the same time, but if you look at the imagery, these houses that they built, I mean, it looks like there's Wedgwood on the walls.
It does.
There's the same imagery, the plaster image, with a colour behind it. This one is Wyatt, and
I mean, I'm not. I was about to say, do you think, or do you know, or was it better? Did Wedgwood come first before these designs?
oh no, definitely not. No, these guys would have come back, and he would have been fulfilling. This is the interior design of the house,
Okay.
and so you would have had this in your house, and then what do you put on your tables?
See.
So you would have
So
something.
Wedgwood was sort of responding to their
Responding,
designs.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
It's not so much their designs, it's what they saw when they went to Rome and they would seen stuff
Mm-hmm.
on the walls. They would have seen all these figures. They would have seen places like in Italy. This is very Italian.
Yeah.
And they would have been copying, basically, bringing it all back.
And you're right. It is like a Wedgwood plate.
Yeah.
All over
wall.
all the walls in
Yes.
a room
And
with the same
ceilings.
colours, similar colours.
Yes, similar colours.
Very pale, sort of beautiful colours, but with this
I wouldn't
white.
say they're pale.
Wouldn't you?
They are really, really strong.
So-
Well, the first
the
one,
yeah,
that
I was going to
pale
say the
blue
ones.
one.
We're looking at many images.
But if you look at that, that blue background of the big medallions is really quite strong. This one here,
That's a lovely colour.
That pink is really quite strong. And look at that red behind that figure with the peacock. That red,
Yeah,
and then
no.
there's several pinks.
I take it back.
Yeah.
But yes, softer.
They're not. Yeah, I think they. But of course, these are huge houses.
Yeah, and wow, what that would seriously be impressive up close. I mean, that is wonderful. Where's
So
that image you're showing us?
ceilings are unbelievable. So that's where I first saw these colours. So for me, the 18th century was full of Robert Adams ceilings, which are absurd and crazy and amazing.
That's my kind of ceiling.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got one.
Where
like
can we
that.
get someone to do that?
I don't know.
That is incredible.
I don't
isn't
know
it?
how they came up
No.
with these, because it would have been so difficult. I think they must have got people coming in from Europe to do some of this work, the plaster work, etc.
But all of this inspiration for their designs came from their grand tours, or a lot of it.
Oh, totally.
And they went, they saw, they absorbed, and they brought back.
Yeah.
And they brought it back to England.
Yeah. And they mixed all these colours. So, these ceilings where
The ceilings are not at all,
No, they're
pale.
really...
No, they're wonderfully bright.
Well, and look at this one here, where the wall and the ceiling, they all come together. I mean, it is incredible. And this one here, I love that. I think this is Osterley Park. And you've got that pale blue.
Oh, yes.
And on it, these red, deep red, Etruscan red imagery. And painted chairs as well. Everything goes... You see, everything works together.
Works. It's really inspiring imagery.
That chair, those chairs are just to die for. I've seen these. These are just beautiful.
And how was it known in the States? Because this was a very sort of British thing.
Yeah.
In your notes, you mention of it being spoken about in the States as a look called federal. Is
The
that
federal
correct?
style, yeah. So
Okay.
it's a sort of classic, neoclassical.
Okay.
I mean, that's continued, and you can still see that sort of thing throughout grand houses in America. Their sort of most grand style is federal. and neoclassical. Not religious, which is, church and state are very separate. So I think this is, so there is a very similar, but not quite so big and grand, but it will be the white edging with the pinkish walls and the blue walls, and maybe a little bit of, like on that one there, you've got the
Well, that one's quite a subtle example of the look, I'd say, in some ways. It's, that could be in a house down the road now. It's not...
Yeah.
It's quite a simple look to achieve, I'd say.
So
all of these images, as beautiful as they are, in talking about the interior side of things, they're very ornate, they're very elaborate. They're in homes and houses and stately homes which have circular rooms with 20 doors in.
Yeah.
And whilst it's very beautiful to look at, if you're thinking of taking inspiration from this in your home today and bringing it into what you want to do in your interior design, how could you, for a very normal house, how could you bring this style in?
Well, one of the things I would do is look at the panelling. So in that very first one we did, which we showed you, the panelling on the walls, it's over the fireplace. There's a square panel inside there. There's a circle. And then by the side there are two long panels. Well, that's quite a nice way to divide a wall up or even a piece of furniture.
Great answer.
And you could put those different colours in them. So I think there are 3 colours. There's a grey, a deeper blue and a paler blue. And there's also some bit above the doorway as well.
That's a fantastic piece of advice. I don't want to start patronising then, but that's such a good answer, because I think panelling has always been thought of as a little bit old-fashioned, but it's so current at the moment. You see so many people on Instagram with their nail gun and their bits of panelling that they've had cut or cut themselves, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
And what impact that has.
And you could do it without doing any moulding at all and paint it all on. So you could have the white lines, just painted white lines.
And have you maybe done that in your house in France at all?
I have done that, yeah.
Yes. There we go. So, yeah.
But I made mine look quite old, but you could do this as like abstract shapes. So 2 abstract shapes staying there. This one here would be lovely. 2 lines down the side. A rectangle, a oval in the middle. I mean, the whole thing is just shapes.
Yeah, and you could do it. You could take many angles. You could go for the sort of hand-painted, slightly wonky Bloomsbury vibe, or you could get your masking tape out and measure it and have it absolutely crisp and lovely.
Yeah, I would do that in all sorts of... I just want to go out and do that.
Yeah, I know, really absolutely. And it's always centred around it, like a focal point. So, for example, in this image, what's the oval in the middle? What's in that?
Well, in that, I imagine that, looking at it, it's...
console table, maybe?
It's some sort of console table, or it could be over a fireplace. I don't think that one is, but
you've got to think of your room and what the main focal point is, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
And if people wanted to take it to the next level, I think that's great advice of panelling colours and combining different shades of the same colour and whites and all that. What could they do to take it to the next Wedgewood level or this sort of interior design level?
Well, if you wanted to get this look yourself, there's a lot of moulding around that you could do, and you could put the moulding on, like you were talking about. Sticking it all down.
Like your wedding cake, but on the walls.
And there's an awful lot of that moulding that you can do.
Or paint, I suppose. I mean, it wouldn't have the 3D element.
No,
but...
I personally would do it with paint, because I would love that. And I'd like the free... How would you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a moulding on the wall kind of person. No, I think I'd much prefer to hand paint it, but I appreciate that people listening might say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But there's stencils, there's mouldings, there's
stencils,
whole host of things to help with it.
But I think the idea of the shape is so, so good. One of the things about neoclassical is that it's always symmetrical.
I was just about to ask you that. Yeah. That's one word we hadn't actually mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's looking at a space and trying to make it as symmetrical as possible. if you have a room that could be symmetrical. If you
It's-
don't, then
It's really interesting because a lot of the way that people make things work beautifully is to make it asymmetrical. And even if it is symmetrical, make it a little bit wonky, or, the flowers, the bigger flower on one side, a smaller flower. So people love to do that.
in terms of the way you're styling a space,
Yes,
and where you put the vase,
just
or where you put...
where you paint, or it could be But this is about it being absolutely symmetrical.
And
I
I'm
mean, there is
looking
a figure.
over sort of at the image there, and even the candelabras are completely symmetrical in front of the two panels, and the oval in the middle, the urn in the middle of that. It is all very staged.
Yeah. And I personally love symmetry. I think it's amazing. I love to sort of have symmetry and then play with it a little bit. I think actually looking at my table here, which is interesting, it's a bit destroyed at the moment, but there's a Greek figure right in the centre, two circles either side, and then I've placed a lot of cream coloured, which is quite unusual for me, but lots of jugs and things which are all cream. So there is there usually is quite a symmetrical look to it, but it's also asymmetrical.
And do you think that's completely subconscious? Or did you think, right...
Well, once you've got a big figure in the centre,
you just naturally...
You've got to balance it. So you do two figures, and then you've got to put stuff in the middle, which, I don't have that thing of having too many things, which I've got two jugs, actually. Anyway,
but I'm interested on that because... Obviously, you're known as a painter and somebody who's invented chalk paints and all of those things. But you do have a lot of history with interior design as well. Am I right?
Yeah. But
a lot to say on the subject.
A lot
of knowledge.
I could just go on and on.
Yeah,
about
well,
it.
maybe that's a point for another episode.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
we touch upon interior design, obviously, that in every episode we do of this. But actually, I'd quite like to know a little bit more about your background with that. Anyway, what are you going to be painting to coincide with the release of this episode? If we're thinking of furniture painting,
yes,
we've spoken about the colours and we've said, that's very similar to Jaipur pink. That one's very similar to Frida blue. What do you think you'll do to sort of coincide with this episode, if you have the time?
I would definitely like to do what I was talking about, the abstract symmetrical shapes, but done very loosely. That's what I want to do.
And would you, with the sort of more intricate pattern on top or design on top of the colour, would you be using a white for that if you want to make it look Wedgewood?
I think so, but I might play with the white a little bit.
Oh, you can't break the rules.
No, well,
yes,
I think
you can.
I will.
You will. Which white would
will.
you say it is? In terms of looking at all of the normal Wedgewood, the familiar Wedgewood stuff, do you think that's original? Has it got a little bit of cream to it? Or?
I think it would be either either original or old white.
Old white, yeah.
Because it's got that sort of slight... every photograph
I know,
see,
and
though,
it's different with each
it's
colour.
different, and I need to see the real thing, I think.
And also different because it's 3D, so it's got the shadows which play a part with your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely, I am too.
And my homage to not only Wedgwood, but also to Robert Adam and Wyatt. I think amazing people. Actually, the whole thing about Adam.
I think everyone is going to go out to charity shops, second-hand places now, and try and find some Wedgwood.
See what they can
and
find.
I, before we finish, I think I'd like to revisit the point of bringing Wedgwood back into the 21st century more, I suppose, and making it more current for a younger generation, perhaps, who might not be familiar with it. And I think there's definitely work to be done there. Whether it's your work is another matter.
Well,
but
I think your idea about calling Wedgwood and saying, "Come on, Wedgwood,
come on, let's put some more crabs on.
I'll
and a lobster.
design stuff for you."
Yes.
I think that would be amazing. I would do something abstract, but I'd also do something with, the lions and the crabs and just give it a little bit more edge to it.
As well as the cherubs and the so-and-so. It's a combination, isn't it?
Yeah.
It still works. It's still got its place.
My cherubs might not be quite so.
Your cherubs will be, what will they be like?
Well, I don't know, but they might have little hats on them
Oh,
or something.
fantastic. I love it. Well, it's been fascinating learning about this. And I was one of those people that knew Wedgwood, knew the look, but had never heard of the history of it. And I had no idea about him as a person and all the good he did. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been really lovely.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
And it's also, do you know, it's our first groups of colour.
Yes.
We've not done that before.
No.
These sort of, they're muted pastels, but then pastels makes it too, so they're muted.
Yeah, well, thinking out loud now, and when this is released, and when it's put as a post on social media as well as the actual podcast itself, I think it would be really good if we could suggest a palette that works as a direct link to Wedgwood. You know, for example, Jaipur pink,
Yes.
maybe Louis blue. I don't know
Yeah.
which blue it would be, but
exactly.
to try and tie them in.
Give some colours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because-
good idea.
Anyway, tune in next time and you'll find out all about it.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening.